Greetings from the Caribbean. First of all, I would like to thank Nilofur Farouk and Amin Gulji, Chief Curator of the Karachi Biennale and CEO Karachi Biennale Trust. I would like also to salute Adriana Almada from Paraguay and Dani Montes de Oca from Cuba, who will join me in this panel. My participation is how contemporary art is a witness to our times in Latin America. First of all, I would like to introduce a geographical and historical context. Here is the map of the South America, Central America, and the Caribbean with the Lesser and the Greater Antilles. Here is a Caribbean map with a very distinguished Greater Antilles and Lesser Antilles to the right-hand side. Slaves from Africa. This map will give you a hint of how from the from the western part of Africa, the slaves came to Americas at the beginning of the 1500s. Exactly the Spaniards conquers in 1518 started the trade from the slaves from Africa, and at the very end, the population of slaves was around 4 million before abolishment in the late 1700s, beginning of 1800s in America. Hispaniola Island in the Greater Antilles. It was discovered in 1492 by Christopher Columbus for the Spanish crown. Later, in 1777, occidental part of the island transferred to France. In 1795, the whole Hispaniola Island is a French territory. We need to know that Haiti get the independence from France in 1804, and it was the first black republic in the Americas. And Colombia was the second one, and was declared the independence in 1810 from Spain. We have two particular countries, Dominican Republic and Panama. Panama, we have in both countries in 1821 a momentary independence. But then the Haitians invaded the Dominican Republic from 1822 to 1844, and Panama joined the Great Colombia from 1821 to 1903, where they declared the independence. So those countries, Panama and the Dominican Republic, did not celebrate the Independence Day from the colony. It's from another countries. Here is a map where you can see that Panama was very close to Colombia and was as well as Haiti and the Dominican Republic, who share the same island, Hispaniola Island or Saint-Domingue. Here now we have Faustin the First, Haiti emperor, who was in 1852 the first native monarchy in the Americas. Harman, a travel photographer over the Caribbean islands, took those daguerreotypes, and you can see the coronation of Faustin the First and his wife, and also the celebration in this very unique and particular monarchy in the Caribbean. Now I would like to say that in my curatorial practice with the artists that you're going to see in this presentation, I have been working as an independent curator, as well as a guest curator, and a curator at Centro de la Imagen, where I work as a director, and also an artistic director of Fotoimagen. So all the images that you're going to see in this presentation are with artists that I've been working for many, many years. I do the involvement process with the artists as a curator, and I have more than 100 group shows and solo exhibitions in national museums, cultural institutions, and galleries, including retrospectives. We will start with Tony Capellan, a Dominican artist who is devoted to installations. In the Dominican Republic, in which painting has always prevailed, sculpture is seldom attempted, and design graphic are misunderstood. Installations were able to integrate the diverse materials and procedures and to pave the way to an encompassing version of the artistic conception. Most of Tony Capellan pieces are a reinterpretation of the slavery and how borders in the Caribbean are trespassed, from Haiti to the Dominican Republic, or from the Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico, or vice versa, using remains and what appears to be garbage from the rivers and the sea. Also, the flip-flops are used as a metaphor for farmers with no land to produce crops. But one of the most important is the Naturalization Law number 169 from the 2014 for deprivation of nationality and any illegal citizen born in the Dominican Republic. To understand this, we need to look at the Parsley Massacre back in 1937, when the Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, who rules the country from 1930 to 1961, ordered this massacre. As a result, more than 50,000 Haitians dead. Parsley is a very difficult word in Spanish to pronounce by a French speakers and in Haitian Creole. And that was used by the soldiers, the Dominican soldiers, to consider as a Dominican if you pronounce well in Spanish, or as a Haitian, and then executed. Said that maybe you can understand the turbulence in the Hispaniola Island or Saint-Domingue Island between the two countries. Keep in mind what I mentioned earlier, from 1822 to 1844, the whole island was in control by the Haitians. Sugarcane plantations, mills, factories started in the colonial time. It was considered a cash crop and one of the most important income in the colonies. As a result, this increase of the ratio of slaves to free men, and many African men and women were forcibly taken and made into slaves. In the Caribbean, colonization vanished and extinguished the natives, the indigenous, and that's the reason who the population was shaped from a very few natives, white conquerors and Africans, a melting pot. Here we're seeing Invaded Sea, one of the pieces from Tony Capellan. This is Tony Capellan himself and the flip-flops. And everything you see is recycling materials. Now we're going to start talking about Belkir Ramirez, another Dominican contemporary printmaker and installation artist. Belkir has been working on different issues, but the main ones are related to social politics, and genders with attention on women's situation, and that bring them to the circle of the poverty and misery that engage prostitution, human traffic, violence, particularly in countries particularly in the Caribbean countries. Things that people perceive as the normal and that are already invisible to everyone because their constant presence is our everyday life. She likes to see the viewer the duality they experiment, doubts, hesitation when they are in front of the pieces. They have to choose. There's no escape. They need to have a position. They have to judge. But in doing so, they are judging themselves. They are in a trap where Belkis Ramirez just presents the facts, trying not to judge. I can show you this very, very nice pictures from very prolific career of this woman who won very national awards and biennials as well as international. And now we're going to see Lucila Quieto, who was born in Argentina in 1977. In the archaeology of absence, whose subject is the recreation of a non-exist photo next to her father, who vanished during the dictatorship in her country. In a range of visuals, she recreates moments that they never really experienced in real life. His father, Carlos Alberto Quieto, disappeared 5 months before the birth of Lucila. In archaeology of absence, Quieto combines fiction and biography, as well as performance and photography, to explore the disappearance of her father under the 1976-1983 dictatorship in Argentina. Rather than just focusing on her own family story, however, she also invites other children of disappeared parents to participate in their work, placing an advertisement in a branch of Hijos por la Identidad y la Justicia, contra el olvido y el silencio, children for the identity and the justice against the silence and the forget, with the following tempting offer, in her own words: now you can have a picture you always wanted. Quieto remembers. I asked every son or daughter to look for a photograph of their parents. I then reproduced the images as slides. I projected them on the wall and asked the children to insert themselves between the camera and the image. Now I would like to introduce Juan Toro, who was born and raised in Venezuela in 1969. The main topics of his work is violence, objects of violence, and food shortage. Venezuela has been living in a very difficult circumstances in the last 10 years due to a political and economical crisis after the death of Hugo Chavez, who was president from 1999 till his death. And now the government is under control with Maduro, also another member of his party. And as you can see in the newspapers, there has been a lot of riots, strikes, and the opposition it's against the government. And violence has been part of the work of Juan Toro, as I mentioned. And I would like to introduce this type of work, which expresses how violence is the Venezuelan society in this period of difficulty. Very bloody photographs. and also the brand new work, it's the food shortage, where he is trying to declare all the needs that the society and all the Venezuelan people are suffering from this special period. Another artist who lives in Venezuela is Jesus Hernandez Güero, who was born in Cuba in 1983. In Calados Capitales, Capital Impressions, Jesus Hernandez Güero takes as a starting point the iconography of monuments and architectural landmarks in money bills as expressions of the sketching of the symbolism of a nation. He gathers the different bills from a country to impress images of monuments and architectural landmarks that contain its design, locates them in the city, and then move along with the purpose of making them coincide as exactly as possible through photographs of the images impressed on the bills with the corresponding monuments and architectural landmarks. Jesus Hernandez Güero creates a symbolic territory that questions the real cultural value, commemorative and aesthetic of the architectural and monumental identity of nations, since it can be distorted throughout its history by the financial monetary system. Another piece that you can see here, the stills, it's the video Minutos de Odio contra sí mismo, Minutes of Hate Against Himself, shows a close-up of the Venezuelan flag receiving 8 shots of bullets replace the place of the stars. He proposed to reflect on the attacks, mutations, and significance of media, social, and political discourse that has suffered the flag of Venezuelan nation, where violence to become identity. Now moving to Haiti, I am going to show you Orlando Barria, who was born in Chile in 1968. He traveled to Haiti to cover the 2010 earthquake, one of the biggest in the whole world, who suffers the Haitian country. It's all these dramatic photographs shows what really happened and how the Haitian people suffer with this earthquake. Just a few weeks ago, the MINUSTAD retired from Haiti, so they have to run their own country now by themselves under a very difficult political situation, because, as you know, Haiti has been in a very difficult times with the elections and a lot of presidents in a very short period of time. Now I would like to introduce Mirixa Castillo, who was born in Puerto Rico in 1981 with her post-industrial dust series. I would like to think now how circular migration go back and forth within the islands in the Caribbean, how economical crisis and political crisis and bankruptcy affected Puerto Rico, and in the very last month, Hurricane Maria, who destroyed the island. Sugarcane mills, sugarcane factories was very, very important income in Puerto Rican colony time, and also after they joined the Commonwealth of the United States around 100 years ago. The thing is that the sugarcane mills stopped producing sugar in Puerto Rico, and most of the workers came to the Dominican Republic to cut the sugar cane and to work in the sugar cane factories. This is part of Mirixa Castillo's vision of what happened with all those factories now in ruins and almost destroyed, producing nothing in the Puerto Rican island. Most of what you're seeing now was destroyed by Hurricane Maria in a very short period of time. Now I would like to talk about Pancho Rodriguez, who was born in the Dominican Republic in 1979. I use Pancho Rodriguez because he works the Dominican and Haitian relations, also within the migration context. One of his pieces, Mi Muro, was one of the prizes in the Dominican Republic Biennial of Visual Arts a few years ago, and it was a stop-motion video projected to a wall where he recreates a Haitian worker working in the Dominican Republic in the construction and building area. Also, I would like to remember viewing these photographs from Pancho Rodriguez, that he brought us again the parsley thing with the Haitians, the massacre we have in 1937, and it's put us again to think about what happened many years ago and how the Haitians have been serving as workers cutting the sugar in all of the most important private and official sugarcane mills in the Dominican Republic for the past 80 years. The thing is that we had the law in 2014 that did not allow any legal citizen born in the Dominican Republic to acquire the Dominican citizenship, which is very difficult for, especially for Haitians now with no passport and no documentation at all. Pancho Rodriguez also traveled to Haiti to catch the real life and how Haitian people live in a very populated areas of Port-au-Prince, the city of Haiti. Also working on the Haitian and Dominican Republic relations, we found Elvin Diaz, who was born in the Dominican Republic in 1979, with his video where he goes to the border in the middle of the island, where the every week, and Elvin Diaz develops under the delicate issue of the relationship between Haitian and Dominican Republic, two nations that share the same island and have confronted each other at war over the past centuries. His video explores the coexistence between the two nations in a social, cultural, and economical aspect, specifically along the border where the largest binational market takes place. The migration from Haiti to the Dominican Republic is a serious issue between the two nations, for as much as 1 million Haitians reside illegally in the territory, and Dominican laws do not bestow citizenship to illegal immigrants, as I mentioned before. These are part of the stills of Elvin Diaz's work, And you can see this this placenta video in the exhibition that I work as a guest curator for this Karachi Biennale called Displacements, the Invisible Majority. Now we'd like to introduce Rosana Najigueler from Central America, from Costa Rica, born in 1965. Letters from Nicolas. It's a very distinguished work. Addresses the issue of Nicaraguan workers who, only for economic reasons, have migrated to Costa Rica to function as security guards and bodyguards in homes and businesses. Because these laborers are illiterate and uneducated, these works of art come accompanied by a letter written by children narrating their experiences and for unforeseen events for these laborers endure while surviving and adapting to their new environment. Now we must look at Mayra Martel from Mexico, born in 1979. Mayra establishes a resemblance between forcible displacements in Ciudad Juárez, located in northern Mexico, and Sahrawi, located in Africa. Both territories, while geographically distant, located in different continents, share a sense of loss and abandonment. The first, Ciudad Juárez, whose inhabitants have fled due to violence and lack of public safety, and the later Sahrawi, due to more than 40 years of armed conflict in Occidental Sahara, both yearn to return to their homeland. Here's all the photographs from Ciudad Juárez and the Sahrawi. We are living in tumultuous times. The world is experiencing migrations not seen since the end of World War II back in 1945. These disseminations of human population generate flows that encompass ideology, politics, religion, warfare, social, economic conditions, natural disasters, and even the reunification of families. In reality, no country is oblivious to these migration flows, whether as a homeland, a transition point, or as a final destination. Thank you.